Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:47 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, July 9, 2020. So, looking back at yesterday's session, if you want to take a picture or something, this is what it looks like to have a balancing day inside of the previous day's range for the most part. So, you got on the value area, I do it a little bit differently, right? We've got value area high as a zone, value area low as a zone, red and greens, and then the value itself is just plain white. So as we look at it, we can see that the majority of the day was spent very close to value or inside value, right? For the ES and the Dow, right? There were a lot of time spent slightly below it, but right above the previous day's range for the most part, or the above the previous day's low, I should say. The green dashed line is the previous day's low. The red dashed line is the previous day's high. So basically, we had a failure to get anything going to the downside, right? So as we couldn't get anything to the downside, we had that late push up at the end of the day on all the indexes, right, to highs except for the Russell, right? The Russell failed to grab another new high. So looking at the ES in a little bit more detail, this is just a 1600, the value area high and value area low as these, gray or, clear boxes, and the overnight value area high and value area low as these green and pink boxes. So as we look at, this is where the opening bell rings. This is where the overnight session starts. We're really treading down here. So we open up right inside of the overnight value and below value area low. Come back up, get inside of the daily value, right? Get nothing going around lunch and go down. And as we come down to make these lows at the end of the euro close, basically, we're below, all the value, and it's short-lived. You get, pretty much a V bottom, and you go right back up into these congestion areas. And failure to get any traction going down just leads to all these players that are waiting for new lows coming into the end, and it's squeezed out into the close, and we keep going. This is around 4:15. We keep going after that. So again, watching where these overnight levels are is, key to understanding where these players are positioned. So looking at the ES, we have 18.5 points overnight. And again, we look at these ranges, right? We've been struggling to get above this 30, 70, 75 or 31, or I'm sorry, 31, 70, 75, or you can just round it off to 31, 71, right? This is the support and resistance line. We've had it on the chart for a long time. Struggled on Monday, couldn't do anything with it. Failed at it from yesterday, couldn't do anything about it. On Tuesday, and then looking at Wednesday. So we'll zoom in here, but I just want to see you. So these are in these level 4s, extreme cases to trade today, right? To the downside, you're looking at 30.91. To the upside, you're looking at 32.36. Most likely we'll stay inside of those extreme ranges for the day. So 3s aren't bad, realistic targets. So you're looking at probably right around 32.11 to the upside would be pretty good for the bulls. And then to the downside, if you look at S2, S3, it really takes us back down to this 31.05, 31.15. But since we've, trailed up basically for the last several sessions, went sideways flagged, and we can't get any lower. I'm going to zoom into the current action now. So, we had failure to go lower. You can see this wick down here. Just no one really wanted to participate in this below that area and going up. You can see in the overnight, right, barely got back into value, and really value area high, which when you're above it, you come into value area high. That should be where buyers want to step in. You come into either of these zones, either the value area high zone or the value area low zone from above them, that should be where buyers want to participate if they're going to keep it propped up long. So getting back from the underneath side, it's the opposite, right? Coming into either of those zones from below should be where sellers want to participate And when you're in the middle, that's where you should get chopped up, right? It should just be range bound if it's going to be a balancing day. Remember, a lot of days balance. So we're still struggling up here at this 3171 level and can't get over it. So it's major resistance, right? We've been screwing with it for a long time. So if we can't get over it, right, we're probably going to test these lower levels once again. But however, if we can't break above them, we should start. That should be support going forward for the next several sessions, unless it's a look above this area and fail and drop back down. That's the danger of this level that we've been screwing around with this for so long. We look at all the indexes and we can see that they've all fared pretty good overnight. So the overnight low, the green dotted lines in the middle of value for the Russell, it's tested above value area high, but not above the previous day's high. For the NASDAQ and the rest of the indexes, the ES and the Dow, these blue boxes I've got are trades that went off after the bell before the session closed, and that's where new longs were initiated for some traders. So these traders were out of position. They paid the absolute worst price for the session to get in something new long if they're holding, right? Basically, they're morons. So when morons get paid, everyone can get paid. So if you look at the NASDAQ, right, they haven't had much of a challenge, right? They got a little bit under where they got in last night, and they've went up. As you look at the ES, they've really not done too good or too bad, right? But they were, they could have got far better prices multiple times later. And if you look at the Dow, right, they're pretty much not as happy as either the ES or the NASDAQ. So, the Dow's really struggling to get above and stay above. Although it did test up there, it didn't really do anything, right? So now we want to watch these levels, right? So we want to pay attention to this resistance zone for the ES, this 31.7075, and we want to pay attention to value area high zones, right? We want to see if we can get that, and then this sky markers, if you want to call them, right? We nickname it a salmon run close. Anyways, we'll want to pay attention to those areas as well going into the day. So looking at sequences overnight, for the ES, started off a little choppy, but since we're at the top of the range, and you can see now that we've hit the high, we come back down. We still took out the 61.8, come back down, and then retested the 61.8 and held. And since we've done that, went up, come back down, went up, and haven't retraced yet. Looking at the and this is just looking at it from the session level. These are very micro looks at what's going on. Same thing with the Russell, or I'm sorry, the NASDAQ, coming out of that low as you come up, right around 4 o'clock in the morning. It's been a much more bullish sequence, and you can see the bears just getting their hopes reset multiple times since then. Now looking at the Russell, a little bit sloppier, but still fairly decent. So sloppy coming out of that low, a little less sloppy, a little less sloppy. Now we're holding a halfway back long to the tick and going up. So slight edge still to the bulls. Looking at all these. I added some micro draws for you guys on the NASDAQ. If you notice, I've got them dotted out because we're up, at all-time highs. There's really not too many profile references to give you, but they are reacting off these micro levels. I expect these things to fall like dominoes sometime in the future, so that's why they're dotted out. I don't think they're going to be long-term support and resistance areas. We'll probably erase these sometime, after they all get taken out, and look to see if we can find some better levels. But anyways, I'm going to zoom in here. I'll give you those micro levels for the NASDAQ. 10,463, 10,506, 10,562, 10,620, 10,669. Those are the levels from the profile that I'm looking at that should act as first test support and resistances on the way up or the way down back through them now. And we'll see how they fare tomorrow. But you can see so far they've acted decently for, getting above, staying below. And then, these are just areas of the chart, right? You'd rather be long above, and, for the NASDAQ, we'll just say you'd rather not have a trade on below it, right? Because as Jack mentioned, the NASDAQ only trades lower, so it can go higher. So you're not looking for shorts. Looking at the Russell. And the Russell's really holding this 1403 level yesterday, right? It peaked below it, come back up. It's washing through right now, this 1421. We might take this level off if it doesn't look reactive here in the next few sessions. It is a dotted level, so it's less important, but it's one of those things that you'd rather be long against that above it than, short being short. And then you got 1433.40, and then you got a little bit better support resistance line up at 1462.60. You can see, back here we topped off, higher than that and higher than that, but you can see short-lived, and you can see no 30-minute bar closes above that level yet. And above there, we're going to have 1496.30. Looking at the Dow, and I'll be off here in just a second. You got the 25,750, then you got 26,300 basically, 297 is where I've got it marked. Then above that, 26,510. So I'll give you a little preview of the overnight value if you can take a shot of this. So here's where the value is when I started, before I got on the mic this morning, for each of the indexes for overnight, value area high, value area low zones, and points of control for these. So I hope this helps. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.